The Asylum final thoughts. Condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance. This is a quote by Einstein. My thoughts echo Einstein's words above, so please feel free to further investigate any of the information provided here within these pages before you decide to review this book. If you thought that this book was just full of conspiracy theories, here are some words from Jim Marrs in relation to conspiracies, because he feels that the conspiratorial view could more accurately be called the cause and effect view, because obviously accidents occur, planes, trains and cars crash, ships sink, but in history, it is clear that human planning most often precipitates events, and he points to researchers Jonathan Vankin and John Whalen, who think that the American public's attitudes are shaped by a sanitized Disney view of both history and current events, which could also easily be called the New York Times version or the TV news version. They believe that the main resistance to conspiracy theories comes not from people on the street, but from the media, academia and government, the same people that manage the dissemination of information. Anthony C. Hutton, a former research fellow from Stanford, agrees with this, also saying that an establishment history dominates textbooks, publishing, the media and library shelves. He says that woe betide any book or author that falls outside the so-called official guidelines. Foundation support is not there, publishers get cold feet and distribution is hit and miss or non-existent. It does not take a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority, keen on setting brushfires of freedom in the minds of men. This is a quote by Samuel Adams. Jim Marrs, in his book Rule by Secrecy, highlights a 1997 Scripps Howard News Service poll in conjunction with Ohio University, and the poll showed some interesting stats, including -51% of people polled believe that it's likely that some federal officials were directly responsible for the assassination of JFK. A majority believe that it's possible that CIA officials intentionally allowed Central American drug dealers to sell cocaine to inner-city black kids. -60% felt that the U.S. government were withholding information regarding Agent Orange and the causes of Gulf War syndrome after the U.S. Air Force released a report that aliens crashed at Roswell in 1947, saying they were actually crash test dummies. More people now believe that the U.S. government is covering up information and technology from extraterrestrials than before, as there is an obvious initiative for our global enslavement and takeover of each nation. I've finalized a list of how the future could potentially pan out for us. It begins with enacting global trade mandates that give unrestricted powers to global corporations, give immunity to illegal immigrants and minority groups, which are then free to engage in so-called acts of terrorism, force humans off of the land and countryside and into controlled areas like cities, ban growing your own food, catching your own fish, hunting and being self-sufficient, set utility consumption charges onto specific individuals, increase taxes on fossil fuels, ban gun ownership, punish the wealthy except the elite Illuminati, confiscate any gains and abolish private property and inheritance, further the debt of individuals and nations so that there is no way to ever pay it back. Bankruptcy will not exist. Eradicate small and medium-sized business. Corporations will manage water supplies on behalf of the military. Criminalize the old religions in order for a government-controlled and initiated new religion. Continue with fake history and poor education that encourages debt. Vaccines issued at gunpoint or if refused, imprisonment. Everyone, or at least the majority, should be on government welfare. This is what we are experiencing today: perpetual war, created illegally, to invade and destroy other countries and steal their natural resources, pestilence created in Black Ops bioweapons labs, extensive famine in Africa, India, and now Haiti. Millions of American children, too, are without adequate daily food, a contaminated food supply created by corporate chemical production and dangerous husbandry practices foisted on us by greed. The soil is destroyed, because genetically engineered and carcinogenic plants can only grow in soil that must be loaded with pesticides. This is now part of a globally poisoned food chain. Medicine is no longer the practice of doing no harm, but rather radiating critically ill patients and injecting young and old with poisoned vaccines that have created 2 generations of children with compromised cognitive function, ADHD and autism, and damaged immune systems. The list goes on and on. In all of it, precaution is hardly ever used, and harm is the avenue chosen. This is a quote by Dr. Eliasandra Perling-Giri. To finalize this long book, here is some interesting information, some might say confirmation, from the knowledge topic that I channeled for spirituality from the stars. Do not give knowledge to the masses, we witness them speak aloud. The knowledge obtained by many, only to be controlled by a few people in senior positions that live in fear of losing their power, making them more fearful of its loss than the knowledge they have. Thus they are abusing their power. They are aware of the religious aspects of their control, but they turn a blind eye. They play their cards very close to their chests, you would say, but realize that knowledge overall is the most powerful tool at their disposal. The use of it is more powerful than any nuclear weapon known to man. The innate power of information and disinformation is unique to this realm. It is so easy to pull wool over the eyes, so to speak. Some of this power is used to scare you and keep you chained within the grips of fear. Some knowledge has been decreed so important that you are not considered worthy by your governments to be given the truths that knowledge can bring. Some of this knowledge you have access to, or at least snippets. Some of you do not, and you never will in this controlled state, this big brother dimensional realm. If you could only ascertain the truths behind your economic policies, the truths behind your media stories. Interspersed amongst the control of media magnates lies the innocent bystander with a story to tell, a truth to divulge. There is knowledge out there being hidden by a powerful few. Search for it and it will find you. The truths, desire is all you need. Uplift yourselves from your dreamlike trance states. Join the uprising against disinformation and control. Think for yourselves. Devour the knowledge but filter it if needed. Take what you will. Trust your inner voice. Trust your inner senses rather than what you are told to believe. Stretch your minds. Look past what you have been told and taught to believe. Enjoy the process, free thinkers.